Alright, let's talk about Hamilton. So a while back, actually on the 4th of July, I watched Hamilton for the first time on Disney+, and no surprise, I really enjoyed it. Get him! He's a Hamilton fan! Ah! Okay, well, with all that aside, it's crazy how people are still talking about Hamilton to this day. You know, it's been over, I think, like 6 or so years since its debut, whereas years after most groundbreaking Broadway musicals are released, they're only talked about by just the theater community alone. Hamilton, needless to say, is here to stay. Now, I could do a review of it because it's almost 3 hours and I haven't watched it in almost half a year. Actually, it's, I think, been more than that now. But the only thing I have revisited is the soundtrack, and that is a good soundtrack. And that is what I'm going to talk about today with my top 10 songs from Hamilton, an American musical. Also, I will mention that the first 5 entries will be a bit funky because there are 5 core songs from Hamilton that I really like, so they'll be like the top 5, whereas the bottom 5 will just be like the lower tier songs I like. But first, I'd like to cover some honorable mentions, songs that were on the short list for my favorites, but I ended up cutting them for the final list. Cabinet Battle Number 1, an excellent song that points out Jefferson's flaws, but overall I like the other Cabinet Battles just a little more. What Did I Miss? A really good song, but in my opinion it takes a bit too long to get to the good part, and I don't know, I guess I don't like it as much as I remember. Say No to This. It has some great singing, but its whole theme of infidelity kills the entire mood of the musical. I'm not denying that it happened, but I just personally don't like this part of Hamilton's story. It's kind of depressing. Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story? I guess I feel obliged to do it, to at least consider this song because it is the grand finale, or at least one of the last songs, but it is still a great piece that wraps the last 3 hours or so in a beautiful little bow. Now we go in, moving on to the list, with number 10 is The Story of Tonight, and for me, the first 4 songs, which would be Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, Sir, My Shot, and The Story of Tonight, flow into each other very well. The opening number and My Shot are more intense, while this number is this sort of slower, sappier addressing of the new bonds Hamilton made with Mulligan, Lafayette, and Lawrence. They sing about how their meeting will be a pivotal role in the development of this revolution, and how when they have won, they will look back to this moment fondly. It's sentimental, it's sweet, it's the perfect song to further establish the connection between the 4, that sort of brotherhood they have founded. Now we got number 9, which is Helpless, and I want to mention that I wanted to kind of make my top 10 very diverse. I didn't want it to all be numbers that had just Hamilton and Burr. I wanted to have, some, include a number that had the King in it, and have a number that has the Schuyler Sisters in it. And I will admit it was very hard to find a good a song to put in here for the Schuyler Sisters. I do respect Burn for what it is, but similarly to Say No to This, it's not my favorite due to how depressing it is. I never liked the Schuyler Sisters. The song, not the sisters. The sisters are fine. I mean, I do like Satisfied a lot because it shows the mental battle of Angelica and how she does have feelings for Hamilton, but, and how she still loves her sister for who she is, but nah. I decided to go with Helpless. It follows A Winter's Ball and shows Eliza falling in love with Hamilton. It's sweet and upbeat, and a lot of the Schuyler Sisters songs convey other emotions I'd rather not feel, like sadness from Burn or emotional confliction from Satisfied. I don't even know what emotional confliction is, but given what happens in Satisfied, I think it fits pretty well. Now we go to number 8, and I would be committing a crime if I did not include a song from the man, the myth, Jonathan Groff, aka Groff Sauce, aka King George. For his spot on my list, I couldn't not go with You'll Be Back. Throughout the show, his numbers get smaller and smaller in length, and You'll Be Back is a full 3 minutes, but what comes next is only 1, and I Know Him might as well have just been transition music. You'll Be Back is the response number to the revolution, with the king showing his panache over how he knows he still has power over the colonists, and that when he orders a battalion of armed forces to put them in their place, it will be an act of love. I'm literally now just paraphrasing the lyrics to You'll Be Back. It's cheeky, it's surprisingly upbeat considering the subject material, and it perfectly encapsulates King George. Heck, it encapsulates Jonathan Groff as well. Number 7 is Cabinet Battle Number 2, and to be honest, I love both Cabinet Battles almost equally. I love how the first one, Hamilton calls Jefferson out for owning slaves, after Jefferson talks about how he plants his own seeds at Monticello. That's a really powerful line. But the reason I picked the second battle over the first is because in the first, Jefferson didn't really bring the thunder like he said he did. Sure, he insulted Hamilton in a business-like way, but didn't use too many personal attacks. But when the second cabinet battle comes around, Jefferson turns it up a little, And Hamilton once again delivers with the zingers, and well, obviously Hamilton still won, but this time it was a little bit closer, and I really liked that. Number 6 is Hurricane, and I'm actually kind of surprised this one is in the list at all. This song, in my opinion, has some of the most beautiful singing and lyrics in the entire musical. Definitely Lin-Manuel's best vocal performance in the entire show, in my personal opinion. This song takes place in a pretty chaotic point in Hamilton's life, and it talks about how there's stillness and tranquility in the center of disaster. Similar to how the eye of a hurricane is quiet, hence the song title. Those are also actually, like, the main lyrics of the song, too. One observation I made is that it reminded me of a song called Quiet from my favorite musical of all time, Matilda the Musical. Which sounds kind of lame, like Matilda the Musical. Check it out, it's freaking amazing. Both songs have very similar settings and very similar themes, and now that I think about it, I can find a lot of similarities between Matilda the Musical and Hamilton. In Matilda, there's a song called Naughty, which talks about how famous fictional characters seem to be imprisoned by the story they were in, and how people should be able to change their story if they feel trapped. I'm not a rocket scientist, but that sounds a lot like Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. Also, in both musicals, a ragtag team led by an intellectual revolutionary, being Matilda Wormwood and Alexander Hamilton, stand up against an intimidating powerhouse, being Miss Trunchbull and, well, Great Britain. Both musicals have a number in which people are moving in slow motion in the background while someone in the foreground has a solo, quiet in Matilda, and well, countless numbers in Hamilton. Now, I'm not saying Matilda ripped off Hamilton. It actually couldn't have, because it came out on Broadway 4 years before Hamilton did. I'm not saying that Hamilton ripped off Matilda either, but given some of these coincidences, I guess I wouldn't be surprised if it got some inspiration from Matilda. Now, number 5 is Guns and Ships, and from the beginning, this one was one of my favorites. It's short but sweet, has killer rap moments from Lafayette, who is one of my favorite characters, and it feels like everyone in the number has an equal part in it. No one really steals the spotlight. Even when Daveed Diggs is dropping rhymes faster than Eminem and Rap God, everyone still kind of has an equal say in this song, and I really like that. I don't know. I love this song. It's kind of the one I don't have a concrete reason for liking it. It's just there. The number 4 spot, we have Alexander Hamilton, and it's a perfect opener. It sets the stage for what's to come. It's brilliant how pretty much all of the characters are introduced in this number, yet Hamilton is still the one taking center stage the whole time. So many parts of this song are so inspiring, and I don't think Lin-Manuel Miranda could come up with a better intro if he tried. It captures the audience and draws them in. In just 4 minutes, they're able to do the impossible, make literally anybody interested in learning more about the first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States of America. And that's the bottom line. If this is a sign of what's to come on this list, holy crap. Number 3 is My Shot, and I bet sometimes people almost forget about Aaron Burr, Sir, because it's a tough song to go between Alexander Hamilton and My Shot. No offense to Aaron Burr, Sir, that's a great song too, but it just didn't make this list. My Shot is sort of Hamilton's plea to Burr, Lafayette, Lawrence, and Mulligan. He sings about his passion, his drive, how he's not going to pass on his opportunity to make a change in the world. He uses this song to wow his audience, and the four are quickly impressed by his ambition. This is sort of a normie Hamilton song, and what I mean by that is if you ask someone that doesn't know much about Hamilton what their favorite song was, they'd probably shrug and go, I don't know, My Shot? Is that a good choice? Coincidentally, yes, but as much as I like My Shot, there's 2 that are literally music from the gods, in my opinion. At the number 2 spot, we have The Room Where It Happened, and I'll be honest, a week before I wrote the script for this video, it's already been like months since I wrote the script for this video, so it's not actually a week ago, but a week before I started writing this script, I would have said that The Room Where It Happened is my favorite song from Hamilton, hands down, without a doubt. It has this jazzier feel than the rest of the show, and it follows several different plot points, all surrounding the main plot of the song. The lyrics are very profound, especially in the refrains. Definitely my favorite part of it is the conversation between Jefferson and Madison, followed by the argument between Burr and Hamilton. It's just got some of the best lyrics, like, ever, man. It is brilliant. But this was another song that the first time I watched a Hamilton film, it got stuck in my head for like all the right reasons. Now, I said earlier that at some point this was my favorite Hamilton song. I actually just said that like a minute ago. And it was up until about a day before I started to write this script. And now a new song holds that title, a song I didn't really give the time of day for a very long time. And number 1, I don't really know if the theater community really likes this song, like, if it's like their favorite Hamilton song, but I don't care. I wouldn't really consider myself part of the Hamilton fandom anyways, because like I said, I saw the Hamill film, and I wouldn't even really consider myself a true Hamilton fan, but I don't care, like, Your Town is my favorite song from Hamilton, and nothing's gonna change my mind about that. Had Hamilton been about just the revolution in general, the musical would have probably ended after this song, and now, okay, a lot of history buffs will probably fight me on that, and they're way more educated on the topic than me, so I concede in advance. But anyways, this song is just kick butt. I know a lot of songs in Hamilton can fit that description, both personally and thematically. Nothing can top Yorktown. It was essentially the climax of the Revolutionary War, the final battle before Britain surrendered. The song itself follows the moments before and after the battle, and the music is just brilliant. Like, no other song in the entire show masterfully weaves the dramatic music we've grown to recognize with hip-hop, especially in the bridge of the song. It's truly riveting. There's so many moments in this number that I could just go on and on and on about, and this video would be like an hour long. You know, Hamilton's profound and inspiring lyrics, Hercules Mulligan's epically and deliciously profane solo, and the slow crawl back to the chorus after the British finally surrender. Yet that's the best part of the entire number. Those lyrics, the world turned upside down. For the Americans, it meant that they were finally free from British rule, like a bird coming out of their cage. But I always thought that those lyrics applied today, just in a different meaning and context. 2020 was such a dumpster fire out of a year. Almost anything bad that could happen did, so it truly did feel like the world had turned upside down for most of us. Well, I wish I had the time to talk about Hamilton non-stop, but unfortunately this video has to come to an end. But just wait for it, because a new video will be coming out very soon, and I'm not going to tell you just what it's about, but I'll give you a little clue. It's going to be about one of the most popular reality TV shows on TV, and I talk about how it's entirely broken. Anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.